right. Welcome back to Biashara Tuesday. I'm glad that you are able to keep pace with us. It is 8:20 in the morning. It is a bright morning. Tell me how it looks like outside there. I've not been out the studio since I came in, but it was a bright sky. Didn't look like it's going to rain today, but it's actually raining according to the reports I'm receiving on real time. So if you're heading out of your house, carry an umbrella if you're in Nairobi and it's outskirts. But I'm in studio and it's warm. I'll be keeping you company all the way to 10 in the morning. My name is Richard Okenya. If you're joining us for the first time, we just had a conversation on open and distance learning. The African Council for Distance Education, ACDE, is expanding and promoting open and distance learning and providing measures that are going to address some of these challenges. They have been promoting collaboration within 58 member institutions. They're currently, not all of them are active, but at least 15 of them from 7 countries all across Africa are well represented in the ACDE, which is hosted at Kenyatta University. They're having a training from the 27th to the 29th, which means today is the second day of that workshop training for the ACDE Toolkit. It's a toolkit that is being offered to higher institutions of learning to adopt e-learning and to take measures to ensure that the adoption is done in such a quality manner. If you want to access the toolkit, please reach out to the African Council for Distance Education. On their website you'll find contacts, so that is acde.org, and I'll be also having a look at that. If you're a student who wants to embrace open and distance learning, there is a fellowship that you can also apply to, which takes 1 slot a year, but it's interesting if you can pursue it and leverage the resources and support offered by ACDE. That conversation will be later available on our YouTube channels at KUTV Kenya. Right about now, I'm going out to have a look at the dailies and then come back with my guest of the day who will help me have a breakdown here, human rights defender, considering a lot of human rights violations were done or are being done on this very occasional period of protests and mass action across Africa, but majorly we are taking a look at what's happening in our backyard here in Kenya. Kenyatta's under siege is what the Standard is saying there. A picture of hundreds of youth, some freed from unknown places, who invaded the city farm, that is Northlands, which is just a stone throw away from KUTV, belonging to former President Uhuru Kenyatta. The Daily Nation: stop this madness. A man was shot dead by police in Kisumu, and several people were injured on this second day of protest, which also saw property of unknown value looted and destroyed. Over in the Business Daily, new law is forcing gamblers to save with every bet that is placed. The bill is set at 20 shillings minimum for a stake for online gambling, and farms are risking a penalty of up to 5 million on the breach of this new law which is being enforced. So don't go too far. Grab yourself a piece of or a copy of the Daily, whether it's online. A physical copy still goes for 60 shillings, so we are yet to demonstrate for that. But online you can get it for 10 shillings. I'll be back here with Grace Osinde, AFEC ambassador in Kenya, founder Street Uproot Kenya, and also a human rights defender. Don't go too far. All right, the newspaper is here now, and Grace, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
It's cold outside. I don't know how you're surviving.
Yeah, it's really cold, but I left the house. It wasn't very cold. Then it started raining before I got here, so but it's okay.
Yeah, there are hot stories on the dailies this morning, so I think it should serve us some good to maintain weather the storm, if that's what is happening outside this studio. I'm yet to confirm that, but please send me more information. You are a human rights defender. Before we get into more of what is happening here on the papers, you're a human rights defender, founder of Street Uproot Kenya. You're also AFEC ambassador in Kenya. A Jill of all trades.
Yes.
Is that the female version of Jack?
Yes.
Yes.
Anything empowerment, anything defending, anything youths, I'm there.
What's your capacity as a human rights defender? What activities are you involved in?
We have I'm currently volunteering with a human rights commission in Kisii. That's Nyamira County and Kisii County. It's called Gusii Peace Management Association. So what we do is we try to make peace in the community, and we try to get justice for the less fortunate. Recently, we had a case of police brutality. It's sad that it's what's going on right now. So what we do is if a family has an issue and they can't afford to go to the court, we go to them, we approach them, we are all pro bono, we don't ask for anything.
Right.
So we take the case, we approach, we reach out to all the offices that needs to be reached out to, and we get justice for our family.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a great way. There'll be more clans for you here following this police and protesters march that is currently happening, the running battles between police officers and protesters. For Street Uproot Kenya?
Street Uproot Kenya is a charity foundation. We started in 2019. It's about helping street children we're basically based in Nairobi. So what we do is we get older kids from the streets, like between 16 and 20 years old. We get them, we rehabilitate, we train, we get them houses, we rent them houses for like 3 months. We give them resources, we give them money to start businesses. We start businesses for them, small scale businesses for them. And after 3 months, when they are able to pay their bills, we leave them. Not leave them, but we leave them to be financially independent, but we keep on checking on them.
All right.
Yeah.
Street Uproot Kenya, can be checking that out, and then reach out if there's a way you can support or also get to be a part of that movement. Now, the Daily Nation, stop this madness. Bullets, tear gas, and stones in running battles between police and protesters. A man was shot dead by police in Kisumu and several people injured on the second Monday of protests in which property of unknown value was looted and destroyed here close to the capital. Properties belonging to the families of former President Uhuru Kenyatta and Azimio leader Raila Odinga were targeted for attack, with machete-wielding gangs driving away animals and setting a tree plantation on fire at the Kenyatta's Northlands city estate. That's the top story here on the Daily Nation following that second day of protest. Images of demonstrators engaging police in running battles and invaders carrying sheep looted from the Kenyatta family, and also a small picture there at the bottom right of Azimio chief Raila Odinga addressing a crowd in Kawangware. Overall reactions from you, Grace. Were you part of this Maandamano Mondays? And if you are watching this from home as a keyboard warrior, what were your reactions?
I'm actually really saddened, but I'm also I'm worried about the current state of the nation. But I'll start by saying this. I'm not taking any sides, but I'll say this. Power is not controlling people. Power is controlling yourself. The moment you find yourself that you really want to control people, you're losing it.
All right.
So I feel whatever's going on here is there's power controlling that's going on, and it's really not helping at all.
It's more of a power struggle.
Yeah, so it's really not helping. Wanasema ni ndovu ama nini wakipigana nyasi ndio umea. Fahari wawili wakipigana nyasi ndio. So we are the common mwananchi, sisi ndio tunaumia. I saw I like defending children, their rights. So I saw yesterday a kid was hit by the tear gas canister and they were injured. It's really sad. So I'll start by saying this. It's about time we stop the madness. It's about time people sat down and talked about these things, because wananchi ndio wanaumia. It's really sad.
Stop this madness is what the Daily Nation is calling it there. And if you go to page 2, where tear gas, batons and bullets in pitched battles between opposition and the police, the two antagonists, that is the police and the opposition, for 20 minutes yesterday saw a battle that lasted 20 minutes, came to blows in a life and death struggle for the right of way. According to a report here, which is done by my good friend Collins Omulo over at the Daily Nation, there were police trucks bearing water cannons, and if you were able to follow through yesterday, you also saw that there were also, stones that were on the tarmac and a choking stench of tear gas, according to reports of the people who are there on the ground. Now, here there are several issues which come up, which is one, the right to petition, to picket, and to demonstrate, which is provided on by the Constitution and provisioned on Article 37. But last week we saw that that is on Sunday, actually, just a day before this Maandamano Monday took place. The IG of Police, Japhet Koome, saying that the buck stops with him and he will not be allowing the Azimio team and the opposition at large to join in this or to conduct this Maandamano. We also saw CS Kindiki is submitting new changes and proposing new changes to Parliament, that is to the Constitution, according to Article 37. That is that the opposition is to take care of all this chaos, of the post-demonstration cleanup, and also of any injuries that are happening here. So who is to blame? Is it the police who are initiating violence, or is it the opposition that is initiating violence? Because I remember some time back during the swearing in, or the so-called swearing in of the people's president, Raila Odinga, it was a peaceful walk to Uhuru Park. The swearing in was done and people went back home. Do you think it's the police who are starting this, or is it the opposition? Where could this violence be coming from?
No, I feel we can blame both sides, but the Constitution says picketing and having demonstration is a right. People can do that, but no one is allowed to go to demonstrations with any weapon. But then again, when you look at whatever is happening here, I feel the police are making the people to come out with their weapons, because if you're throwing tear gas to the people and they are not even causing any violence, that's how this. Last Monday they were throwing tear gas and pouring the water on the people without even them doing anything. So I feel this Monday watu wamekuja. I even saw people like they are selling. You saw the memes. People are selling stones. So I feel this Monday people felt we have to go prepare, because last week we weren't prepared with the stones and all that. Yeah, so I feel much as the demonstrators are coming with weapons and there's violence and people are getting injured, I feel if the police will just let people demonstrate peacefully, without chasing them, without throwing tear gas, without shooting, I feel demonstrations will be very, very peaceful, and we won't have this violence and these people being killed and being injured. Yeah.
Right. The CS is now here proposing changes. According to him, will touch on the following: the notification procedures. We saw that Azimio did submit their notification for protest, but it was not accepted by the IG of police or by the relevant authorities. It's also going to look at duties of security agencies to protect the rights of those participating. During this protest, the police officers are supposed to march alongside the demonstrators to actually protect them in case there are other goons who are trying to masquerade as demonstrators or as protesters, and we rarely do see this. According to the images yesterday, police officers were at strategic positions. Yeah, it's like a fight. Yeah, that a match that is anticipated. Tungoje wapige kona alafu tuanze shughuli. Is there a responsibility on the side of Azimio leader Raila Odinga and his team, who are usually in a car envoy while the supporters are outside? Is there a responsibility on their part to ensure that these people are not carrying any weapons? Because I'm guessing if I was a police officer, nikuone ukikuja na machete, I saw sufurias, mwiko. I know mwiko is used for cooking, but if I see you with a mwiko outside, definitely there's no cooking festival happening. These are weapons. Is there a responsibility with Raila Odinga to ensure that as he maintains his quest to fight for Kenyans, is also keeping a check on his demonstrators?
I feel Raila has already played his part in terms of ensuring the demonstrators they are keeping peace. Every time Raila gives his speech, he says, let's maintain peace. Let's ask for our rights to be. I feel Raila has already done whatever it's supposed to be done. So I feel
if it's notification, amepeana,
if it's telling his followers don't use weapons, don't throw stones, let's do it peacefully, I feel he has already done it. So I feel right now it's about the president and his people to tell the police on how to handle the demonstrators. It's all about the president right now, the government.
Right.
He's supposed to come out and tell his police on how to handle the demonstrators peacefully,
right,
without killing, without shooting, without tear gas, or they should actually come down. He should just call Raila and all. Yesterday I was talking to a friend of mine and he was telling me, right now, if we put Raila and Ruto aside, let's remove them from the equation. Do you think things are going to be better?
Right.
Are we Kenyans? Are they happy with whatever is going on?
And that's the question that's currently being floated. Are these Azimio protests or are these protests by Mwananchi who's complaining the high cost of living? If Raila wasn't leading this protest, will you see Kenyans going out
to the streets? Exactly. I feel Kenyans will still, if we removed Raila, we removed Ruto, will the unga still be at 280, at 250?
Yes,
will the economy still be bad? It's still bad. So I feel Mwananchi, sisi tumechoka. Mwananchi amechoka. So whatever is happening right now, it's not about Raila. It's not about him wanting a handshake. It's not about him wanting part of the government or having whatever is. I feel Mwananchi ashachoka. Punda amechoka sahi.
Right.
So whatever is going on is about Mwananchi coming out and saying, we are tired, we want the economy, we want things to be better, we want unga to go down, we want things to be affordable. Yesterday, a friend of mine was posting on his status, he said, so many people have been asking him to, tell me kwenye naweza pata kazi hata kama ya kufua. These are youths who have degrees. Some of them have masters. They don't have jobs. They can't afford 3 meals a day. It's crazy. It's crazy. So I feel right now, it's not about Ruto. It's not about Raila. It's about Mwananchi.
Right.
Things have to change really.
Right. Now, while we follow the lead by the opposition, which is a mandate provided by the Constitution, they have a right to put the government of the day to account on its activities to its citizen and also its mandate as they did give out in their manifesto during the campaign period. And here, in his remarks, the CS for Interior says it is not feasible for security organs to allow masses of people to roam streets and neighborhoods of their choice, carrying stones and other offensive weapons while chanting political slogans and disrupting the daily activities of others. You've said that the cost of living is up, Mwananchi amechoka, there are Punda amechoka, that is, and there are valid concerns by citizens. Are they really valid when you consider the political slogans, as mentioned here by CS Kindiki, that are being chanted on the streets? When Azimio leader is giving a speech, it's either they're chanting his name or chanting the name of Azimio or chanting the name of Wajakoya, as I saw in Kawangware yesterday. Is it about the people or is it about Raila Odinga?
I feel it's about the people. Raila is just he's just leading them. He's just showing them the way. Let's do this. Let's ask for what is ours. It's not about Raila. It's about the people. Much as they are chanting his name and chanting, it's normally the leader. People are so excited about demonstrations. People are so excited about what's going on. But really, when you look at the reasons for demonstrating, it's about the economy. So I don't think it's about the leader. It's about Raila. It's still about what's going on.
Without Raila, do you see us rising up on our own and going to the streets? Because we haven't been able to witness that. Maybe on small scale demonstrations, like with the case of activist Boniface Mwangi, or maybe just one. Do we always need a leader? Can we
go without one?
Yes, can we go without one to the streets? Can we see Kenyans out in the streets like in Sri Lanka or like in Bangkok or like in we saw in China? There's usually a leader, but can we see Kenyans out there on the streets on their own?
I feel when it gets to a point where things are really bad, people can do anything. People can go there without anyone.
There's still room for the government to push us to the wall just a bit more.
Yeah, things are really bad. Imagine right now they're saying they're saying that they're going to do away with help. What do you think students are going to do?
Going to
Do
the
they
streets.
do they need Raila to tell them now let's go, let's go?
No, they
they're going to go themselves. They're going to go and demand for help. They're going to demand for reduction in school fees. So I don't think, even if Raila is not there, even if we don't have these leaders who are telling us now, on Thursday we are going, on Monday we are going, and maybe on Wednesday we'll be going again. I think people are tired. Even if Raila is not there, people are going to carry their mwiko and their sufurias, and they're going to the streets.
Right. So, in short, people just need someone to say it. Just like in as you said, with university students, it doesn't need to be a leader. We just need to initiate an idea that let's go to the streets. And we've seen this, of course, with other professions, with medics, with university dons, with students who, when their issues are not being heard by the national administration, they take themselves as a group to go to demonstrate, to go to picket, and also present their grievances. So I think, yeah, maybe that could be the case, and we are yet to see how that happens in the near future. But when we take a look at the standard, it has prioritized the Kenyatta's and the Odinga's businesses, and the headline here reads, Kenyatta's under siege. Hundreds of youth, some ferried from an unknown place, invaded the city farm, which belongs to the former President Uhuru Kenyatta, and hewing down or cutting down eucalyptus trees and carrying away sheep. Videos of them carrying sheep along the Kamakis, that is the eastern bypass, and in the evening they lit fires on the farm, but there was no police presence. The question that comes to my mind, first of all, is this is definitely political, right? This is political vendetta from whoever it is, since we are yet to get the correct information from the police. But hundreds of acres of land, no police presence. How's that possible?
It's crazy, because the stealing and the cutting of trees, it went on for so many minutes.
Yes.
Was it an hour or so?
And this is for hours.
Yeah, for hours.
The whole afternoon into the night. And this is a former commander-in-chief of the armed forces. How does he not have security to protect his...
It doesn't make sense. So whatever is going on here is very much political. The police were told, stand down. Let whatever is happening, let it happen. Because so even before we start demonstrating in Kibera, the police are already there. They actually get there before the citizens wake up.
Everything.
Yeah, they get there at 6. They are already there. They are waiting for us to come and demonstrate, you see.
Right.
But now, at Kenyatta's farm, it went on for hours. People were stealing, they were cutting trees. No police, not even one. Right. And then when the news guys got there, the gangs,
they pelted them with stones, and it became quite a rough scenario there.
It's crazy. This is very much political, and it's ugly. It's really ugly, and it should stop.
Right. Dr. Willy Mutunga here. I'm going to get your reaction on whether we are descending to anarchy now, because we are seeing goons invade Kenyatta family, others attack his Raila's Spectre gas production farm, and we've seen cases of police officers shooting down some of these demonstrators. From last week, a Maseno University student who was gunned down, to yesterday in Kisumu as well, in the march from Kondele to the Kisumu City CBD. Dr. Willy M. Mutunga is the Chief Justice of Kenya, former Chief Justice of Kenya, has this to say. It is foolish to blame demonstrators for resurrecting goons. Is it not the duty of police to stop them immediately? And we all know how peaceful demonstrations are until the police show up. A legitimate government protects our lives and property. So, given that the Kenyatta family's farm was not protected, Raila's Spectre company was also not protected during these goon attacks, and we cannot yet confirm who exactly is behind this. Are we descending to anarchy?
Yes, we are. We are actually going to civil war. If this madness is not going to stop, we are headed to civil war. You saw what happened in Zimbabwe. We saw what happened in Uganda. This is how it started. Now, it's crazy that even the highest of the highest, they are not getting the security. So what about the common mwananchi? What do you think is going to happen in the next few weeks or the next few months?
Right.
We are headed to anarchy, the state of unlawlessness, the state where everything is just everywhere.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Anarchy is just around the corner. It's not even far.
Call it everywhere, everything everywhere, all at once.
Yeah, yeah. It's crazy. So anarchy is here if things are not going to change.
If following up on
Civil war
that,
is here.
if you go to page 12 of the Standard as well, you see that court orders. It is seen as a flagrant affront to the rule of law as Kenyans continue to criticize Ruto's bloated cabinet. 50 CAS appointed from earning salaries, remunerations, and benefits which are beyond our imaginations. The courts did actually bar the CASs from assuming office pending the hearing and determination of their suit. However, these people have already they've embarked on new roles. They've been assigned roles from DP Gachagwa's office to the CS of Interior Kindiki to other institutions or other ministries where the CASs are supposed to be going to embark on servicing Kenyans. Now here, this is against the
court order.
The court orders, and I will say it again here. This is what we saw with the Jubilee government, and I am convinced this is still the Jubilee government in disguise, masquerading in a new name, which is the Kenya Kwanza government, only that there was a split which went to the other side of Azimio. The total disregard to court orders, and now we are seeing that even the president and his deputy president don't obey any orders. Do we expect Kenyans to at any point?
No, I don't think so. You know, talk about hypocrisy. The president, his government, the deputy president, they have been talking about the opposition should follow the constitution. They should not demonstrate. They should follow the constitution. But then again, when you look, when the order is given that the CSS, they should not assume their offices until the issue has been resolved. But then again, you see them going ahead and swearing them in, and they start working. What does that mean? They are disobeying, but they want the opposition to follow the constitution. Things don't work like that.
Right.
You know what the CSS assuming duty means? They are already going to be paid their salaries, which is.
They've already been allocated cars, mortgages.
Yeah, and
they have been allocated office space.
In the middle of this
money.
madness, where people are crying over unga being, I don't know where the prices are, the school fees are going up. It's crazy.
Right.
They should have just held it back and waited at least. This is actually being disrespectful.
The proposed CASs will have a salary of 765,000 a month, 35 million Kenyan shillings in mortgage, 10 million in car grants, 3 million outpatient cover, which is translating to 2 billion in Ruto's first term. Only 50 CASs who, of course, are not. This is not a provision in the constitution for them to hold office, first of all, and the courts are already trying to figure that out. And in a case which has been certified urgent, it's going to be heard today to see whether the CASs need to be assuming office. Itumbi, who is one of the CASs or the appointed CASs, has also filed his own case in the courts to block the case that is blocking him from assuming office. So that has also been certified urgent. It's going to be listened to today. We're going to be following up on that. You can read more on the CASs assuming office in page 12 of the Standard.
It's actually really sad that actually these CSs, most of them, they're not even doing much. Because in the past, one cabinet secretary or whatever they were doing could be done by 7 of them, could be done by one person.
Right.
So why do we need them now?
Here there are those 3 as well who have been appointed to CS Kindiki. I think 7 were to. I'll get that information correct in a short while, to one of the ministries. You see, it's shares, yeah, right? As DP Rigathi Gachagua did say, this is a government with majority shareholders. There are minority shareholders. Minority shareholders tupatane Monday na Thursday, alafu majority shareholders tupatane kwa ofisi.
It's really bad. It's so sad.
All right, so let's go to the business daily for a moment and shift focus from politics, and then we'll be back to it in just a short while. There's a new law for gamblers. You need to know when to. What does that song, The Gambler, say? You something, and then you need to know when to walk away. The government will slash a chunk of the billions which are staked every year from gamblers and channel them into a compulsory hustler fund. Compulsory hustler fund style saving, which is promoted by President William Ruto's administration as a way of developing a savings culture among Kenyans. So we are being forced to save. Whether you're betting, that's going to be used in saving. Whether you're taking a loan from Hustler Fund, a part of it is being used towards helping you save. Yeah, they are setting up a savings kitty. They've realized that Kenyans, the biggest problem to the cost of living is not the cost of living. It's you guys are not saving. So let's help you guys save. Yeah, when you're betting, we help you save. When you earn, we tax you and help you save. When you're borrowing 500 bob from Hustler Fund, we also help you save. So as always, when there's new taxation, when new tax measures are being issued, there are industries which I always see get affected. One is the betting industry, and two is the drinking industry. So you can expect that alcohol and beer prices will be hit next. Anything you have to say about this, or betting is a menace?
Let me just ask you a question. Do you think whatever they are saying is going to help whoever they want to save? Like, if they want the people who are betting to save, is the money going to help them, or is it just another scandal?
I mean, if I was betting and someone saved my betting money, if they give it back to me,
do you think they're going to give it back? That's the question. Are they going to give it back?
Oh, there's that as well, yeah?
It's just another big scandal. It's another big scandal, if you ask me.
Right, so this bill, which targets the millions of Kenyans who bet every year, is the latest tool, and if approved, will replace the Betting, Lotteries and Gamings Act. So, for instance, if you are so the wagered amounts currently attract at a rate of 7.5%, while winnings attract a withholding tax of about 20%. In the new proposal, however, the retained gambling tax, which is currently known as betting tax, at 15% of the revenue generated. So from 7.5% to 15%. If you are an operator who will not be doing this, you will risk a penalty of 5 million or an imprisonment term of 6 years for contravening the order by permitting a person to engage in online gambling for any amount that is less than 20 shillings. So that is the new bill that is proposed and going to replace the Betting, Lotteries and Gamings Act. We know that the one member of parliament from the Roysambu area is also the CEO of SportPesa, that is the MP Kasarani, and hopefully they will be taking a rebuttal on this bill once it's tabled in Parliament. There at the bottom, another loss-making machine, KQ.
KQ.
Are we ever going to make a turnaround?
It's great. Last week we saw Parliament, they passed, is it passed already, the privatization bill?
Yes.
It's passed already?
Yes.
I was telling someone, maybe it's for the good, but not all the organization or the companies they listed. I feel KQ needs to be privatized.
Right.
I feel when it's more, it's like 60% private or 70%, like more than 50% private, it's going to work for the good of the KQ. That's my feeling.
Right.
Because I feel there's a lot of mismanagement. There is a lot of lost resources in the company. So I feel when KQ is made private, it's really going to work for them.
Right. The cabinet on Tuesday last week approved that privatization bill of 2023, which gives power to the National Treasury to privatize public-owned enterprises. We did see that President William Ruto as well was some time back saying that the government is not in the business of doing business. So they'd rather sell KQ, or they'd rather give majority of its shares to someone who can steer it to profit than run a loss-making machine. It has been in the hands of 4 different CEOs in the last 10 years.
I just feel KQ needs to be made private. It's really going to work for them. But then again, the privatization bill, it's just as I said when I started, not for all the organizations and companies they listed.
Right.
I feel KQ needs it, but not all the other companies they listed.
Right. The Privatization Commission has lined up 25 entities for state privatization, including Kenya Pipeline Company. So maybe that's one of them, the Kenya Ports Authority, the KTDA. I will heavily vote on KTDA, and the Development Bank of Kenya, Agrochemical, and Food Corporation. The list also has other state ailing millers, Chemelil Sugar, Miwani, Nzoia Sugar, Muhoroni. You know, we've seen the likes of Mumias, who've also been facing runaway corruption, KQ also, runaway corruption, strikes, and whatnot. So we're hoping probably that the government will be considering also giving it to someone who can steer it to profitability.
Yeah, but as long as they don't make it a monopoly, I'm okay with it.
You're okay with it?
I'm okay with it.
Right. One other monopoly that is also experiencing losses being KPLC. Very mysterious period of losses. You being a monopoly, you should borrow a leaf from Safaricom. I mean, when Safaricom is exceeding and making profits beyond our imagination, it's always the politicians saying this is a monopoly. We need to try and break it up and kill the monopoly. But I haven't seen the same thing with KPLC.
But they're not working on KPLC.
Right? So priorities are...
maybe there is something that we really don't know behind the scenes, the shares, who is holding the shares, but let's not talk about that.
Isn't there always something that we don't know behind
we don't
the scenes,
know. Yeah,
right?
that's what I'm saying. Maybe there's a major thing we don't know. Who is holding the major shares at KPLC? Maybe
I'm not saying it's Ndindi Nyoro, but you can go and check for yourself. Yeah, I've not said it's anyone close to the Kenya Kwanza government. The Financial Standard on page 2 has a very interesting headline, and this is coming from Egypt. I wanted us to have a correlation with a statement that I had here from the Agriculture CS, the current Agriculture CS, Mifika. So the cost of living in Egypt, and this is the response from the government of Egypt. They're saying, eat chicken feet. Egyptians have been told as the living cost rises. This suggestion is coming as this is amid the inability of majority of citizens to put food on the table that has sparked anger and intensified criticism of the government. Here, there's a man who was begging, and he's quoted in the first statement here on the Standard, "Oh God, don't let us get to the point of having to eat chicken feet." CS Linturi came out last week also to say that, 2 weeks ago actually, to say that Kenyans are complaining that hawezi afford unga, you know. Sikuna rice, guys. Piga rice omena, rice mayai. You can't afford bread. Why are they not eating cake? These are statements that we've had from, way back in other economies, and also now it's happening. The madness is spreading all across Africa. There are alternatives. Do you think there are alternatives like this we should maybe consider?
Consider alternatives and move away from. I feel some of our food, like ugali, luya, ugali, kisi, it's part of our culture.
It's a staple food.
Part of us.
Yeah.
So when you're telling us eat rice, eat githeri, eat matoke, it's not part of us. And then it's your job to provide for us whatever that we are used to, or whatever that I'm not saying that we should really do whatever we are used to, but if you're in government and you're given a job to ensure that your citizens are living a better life, or they're affording whatever is there, then make it affordable. Right. Don't give us alternatives. Don't tell us go for rice, go for matoke, go for githeri.
I mean, the cost of living doesn't only affect unga. There's cooking oil. So what should I do there?
About cooking oil, exactly.
I can't cook rice without the cooking oil. Yeah, there's drought. There's no vegetables to accompany that rice. There are people who are dying of famine. 2 people yesterday reported to die over in the Northlands region because of the continued drought that is, affecting more than 24 counties. We've been complaining of drought and famine, and then praying for rains, right? And then the rains are here, and now there are floods, and now we can't deal with floods. There are people who are having their cattle, affected by the floods. Some have died. Roads are not well done to take care of the expected rain season or the current rain season. I mean, this government is very good at alternatives and not so good at solutions.
True. It's crazy that we are praying for rain, but there's nothing that is being done to prepare for the rains. So we get the rains, then what? Then we start crying again about the floods. I think we should, even the Bible says, the Bible, Christianity, they say God helps the people who help themselves. We can't just be praying and just sitting and waiting.
Right.
I think it's about time the government came up with solutions on how, when we get this rain, then how we're going to store the water, how we're going to limit having these floods, So it's not about just praying and waiting. It's about we came up with solutions.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true. And one of those solutions here, let me just read the CS statement so that if someone tries to misquote me somewhere, I am within the right side of the law. Some of the countries we have approached do not want to share their maize with us because they are afraid of their food security. Hey, share your maize, bana, you guys. I therefore urge Kenyans to embrace rice, potatoes. So eat rice, potatoes, and other food substitutes. We have already brought tons of rice, and we are bringing more next week. Next week is this week, so more rice is hitting Kenya. Yeah, more rice for you. Prepare those beans and kamande and all the things that will accompany the rice that the government is importing for you. Let's get back to the madness a bit, and then we can close it up there, because we are expecting this madness to continue on Thursday, when Maandamano Thursday returns to the streets of Nairobi, Kisumu, and other major parts where citizens feel like they will be joining Azimio leader Raila Odinga for those grievances against the Kenya Kwanza government. Remember, the cost of living is one of those issues which are being debated. That's actually legitimate. We can say that's a valid concern. Election servers. Should they open election servers? Maybe you can give me a response on that. Thirdly, that Ruto must go. And those are the three main issues that Raila Odinga is seeking to address. We've said the cost of living, that's very valid, because hata mi sina kakitu, I can attest. About the servers, should we open the servers? Servers can only be opened by an independent commission, which is the IEBC. The Supreme Court already said that the elections were free and fair. Demonstrations are going to continue until Raila Odinga has his list of concerns addressed. Which one of them is opening the servers? What do you think is the direction the government is going to take, and what do you think is the direction the government should take in this regard?
If they feel that they want the election fair and square, I don't see a big problem about opening the servers. What's the big deal? They should just open the servers. If they feel they want fair and square, then they should give Raila whatever he wants and let him stop talking much, yeah? So it's I feel they should just open the servers and make...
And kill that second concern.
Yeah.
And then ask him next.
Yeah, what do you want next? And then we come to the issue of the high cost of living. Then they should address the issue of, if they address the first issue, which is high cost of living, then that issue, which is Ruto must go, then they've already addressed it.
Right.
Because Raila is saying, if you give us whatever we want, then we have no problem. But then if you're not giving us whatever we are asking for, then you must go.
Right.
Yeah, so if they're addressing the first issue, then they're indirectly addressing the third issue. So Ruto and his government, they should do whatever it takes to try and make the cost of living come down a bit for the common mwananchi, and then things will be okay.
Right. The president really indeed needs to act, and I'm seeing here comments from a couple of guys I'm going to read there, but he should be addressing each of those issues. And I think once we talk about the cost of living and maybe specifically talk about every issue step by step, once we do away the high cost of living, then we can say whoever is joining Raila on the streets is all about politics, right? And let's then now talk about the political motives that are behind this protest, because majority of these people are unemployed. I am sure no one has work waiting for them or has something important waiting for them, and then they are still on the streets from morning to evening. And there's the other goons who are also stealing sheep and cattle and attacking companies. These are unemployed people. And if you are using them as a politician who is in government, and you're using the same unemployed people to meet attacks and other goon-like activities on the opposition, what happens once the tension is done, right? Now you have goons in the streets with no work, with nothing to do. They're unemployed. The political differences have been solved, And now we're back to the high cost of living. And it's Kenyans with their goons, unemployment and crime goes up as well. So that is, I think, my close-up there before I get to one last issue on human rights. And this is what we are seeing on the streets, people getting shot dead and others being injured by police officers, as well as these protesters who are, destroying property and also meting violence on other road users. As a human rights defender, I'd love to hear your take on how exactly you can approach this from a human rights angle. And as you get your remark there, Juma G on Twitter has this to say, or has this message to send to William Ruto. Dear President William Ruto, you are the president. Please be one. Do not let people who are still recovering from culture shock, like Rigathi, and people suffering from a diarrhea of words, like Kimani Ichung'wah, ban this country. People voted for you, not Rigathi. Be in charge. That is Juma G from the Soko Directory. Black Apron says, I always say Rigathi proved to me William Ruto is a wise man. He needed a scapegoat, and Kindiki wasn't that man. He knows what character he wants to deputize him. So that's a reaction on the politics of choice between President William Ruto and his deputy. William 621 says, I thought the people wanted to take it in their own hands. If I was president, I would let it happen for 1 month. Police off, then people will start valuing their peace and security. So this is a suggestion that let the people descend to anarchy fully for a whole month, and then keep the police off, and then they will start valuing their peace and security. Mbugu says, don't be a hypocrite. Also tag Ruto and tell him to stop inciting for chaos. I haven't seen any statement from President William Ruto doing that. Please, let's move to the next comment there. Kipruto Ken, no dialogue for Nusu Mkate this time round. The president needs to act. People didn't vote for him. The elections were stolen. That's another reaction there, of course, on that issue of opening the servers. From a human rights issue now, how can we approach this? How can we prevent the loss of lives? How can we prevent the loss of property, given that the best we can get are statements, right? The opposition issuing statements. I saw here Governor Sakaja says that Nairobi County cannot sustain more of these demonstrations, and Edwin Sifuna, who is also the senator for Nairobi County, saying that they've given instructions to their supporters that no private business or property is to be touched. I don't know about public business, but he specifically mentioned private business. It is not as if we don't know where properties owned by Kenya Kwanza minions are located, but that's not our beef. Our beef is with Ruto, not his hotels. Very dangerous remarks there by Edwin Sifuna, even if he's trying to caution his supporters, but you can read in between the lines, the message that he's trying to send to his supporters. How do we ensure human rights are not violated and are not going back to 2008?
Before I comment on that, let me just comment on the tweets you've read.
Yeah.
Some people are agreeing about whatever is going on.
Yeah.
They are on the side of the government and saying, whatever is happening is wrong and all that. The demonstration shouldn't be happening. Let me just read something here by Dr. Chuba. He's late. If you're emotionally attached to your tribe, religion, or political leaning to the point that truth and justice become secondary considerations, your education is useless. Your exposure is useless. If you cannot reason beyond petty sentiments, you are a liability to mankind. I feel right now people should not be talking about, whose side am I on, whose side am I on. They should just think independently on whatever is going on. Because I feel the high cost of living is not affecting, I feel it's affecting everyone unless you have, unless
you're a CAS, or you've been appointed to the current government.
Yeah, but if you're a common mwananchi like us, I feel you should be feeling the impact that we are feeling right now. So it's not the time to take sides and say sijui, I'm on the side of Ruto, I'm a Ruto fanatic, I'm an Azimio fanatic, so I can't. It's about time you just saw how things are happening, what's happening, how bad are things, and just make up your mind, yeah? So, and then I'm going to talk about human rights now. I've worked with their World International. They deal with children's rights on education. I saw some of the schools kids did not go to school yesterday because of the demonstrations and all that. The right of education is being affected. Right to education, yeah. And people are being killed. People are being injured because of these demonstrations. From the human rights perspective, things are really bad, and I feel it's about time. Okay, is it about time the UN intervened and said something about whatever is going on? Because if this is going to be happening every Monday and Thursday, and maybe one person is killed every Monday, another person is killed every Thursday, it's crazy.
And they're getting even more violent, the protests, if we are to take yesterday and last week on Monday as a comparison. We saw that it was a bit more aggressive yesterday than it was last week on Monday, which means the trajectory might be going up into the next few days, and more lives will likely be lost. Right.
And it's really sad from a human rights perspective when I see the police taking sides. You know, yesterday in Kibera when there was a fight, I saw some goons, they were running and hiding behind the police vehicles. And then the police, they are leaving them there. And then they are throwing tear gas to others. Because it doesn't make sense. Because if police are protecting some of the demonstrators or the goons, and then they are not demonstrating, they are not protecting others. What does that say about whatever is going on? It's chaotic. Right. It's crazy. So I feel it's about that time when things just changed, because we can't be losing lives each and every Monday and every Thursday, and then, you know, when someone is injured in these demonstrations or is killed, inaishia hapo. The family is the one that's going to cater for the bills in the hospital. These politicians, you won't see them. Yeah. They never go there and say, gee, that guy was injured, let's go and settle the bill. Right. Let's go and help the family bury.
And if they show up at the burial or at the hospital,
it's politics.
A political scene.
Yeah, it's politics. It's crazy.
Right.
So it's really high time that really condemned whatever is going on.
Okay, that's great. One other thing that happened, it was the attack on the media. Reports of journalists being attacked by goons participating in the demos and by law enforcement officers. Both international and local media reporters yesterday suffered arrests, attacks. Their footage was deleted by police officers. The equipment was taken away by demonstrators, with little to no protection from police officers, including next to Northlands, where they were going to cover those brazen invasions that were happening at the Kenyatta family land. Just to read one more of the statement, or part of the statement by the Chief Executive Officer and the Secretary to the Media Council of Kenya, that is David Omoyo, MBS. The Media Council of Kenya strongly condemns attacks on journalists covering the ongoing protest. We have received reports of violent physical attack on media personnel, including the destruction of the equipment and information collated. Some journalists have also lost their valuables. Journalists play a vital role in providing accurate and timely information to the public, and attacks on them while carrying out their duties are unacceptable. The freedom of the press is a cornerstone of democracy, and any attempt to intimidate or harm journalists is a direct assault on its fundamental right. Attacks on journalists during demonstrations are a serious concern and must be condemned by all those who value press freedom and democracy. I don't think I have much more to say. Think about that. This is all we have for you here on the Business Daily, the Standard, and the Daily Nation on the newspaper review this morning. On the sports, you can read much more on what is happening out there. The Kenyan team is preparing, that is Harambee Stars, is preparing for a friendly match in Iran. They're currently there undergoing training, a match that will be happening this week, so you can see what happens there and how the outcome looks like for them. But we'll be back for more newspaper reviews next week here on Tuesday. Let's get your last words. A call to Kenyans to maintain peace, to also, think about themselves. If it's not clear yet, let it be clear now that the common mwananchi has no side that is taking care of them. The opposition might be presenting concerns which are valid, but at the very core of it, there are political motives. There is a political struggle between a very select group of people. So it is high time that you think about yourself and you think about the peace of the nation and the prosperity into the future. Your last words from you, as I read this one comment from Word Slinger on Twitter. And some of this timeline is full of ethnic chest thumping and jingoism. Another day to remind some of you that Kenya has more than 3 ethnic communities, all with the right to claim their space in the Kenyan nation, whatever that is, all with the right to also speak and use their voice. Your last word, and then you can read the quote at the back of the Business Daily for us when we close. But first we get your last remarks, of course, and your reactions, and then we can read that quote.
We are fighting poverty. We are not fighting each other. So as Kenyans, let's not hate our neighbor. Let's not hate them because they belong to whichever political party or whichever whoever they are following. We are fighting poverty, not each other. And then I always say, in a world where you can be anything, be kind. If you're kind to your neighbor, if you're kind to the Kikuyu, you're kind to the Luo, I don't think all these things will be happening really. Yeah. So again, we are fighting poverty. Let's not fight each other. Let me read this.
Yes,
you have to assemble your life yourself, action by action. Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the word.
Yeah. You have to assemble yourself.
You have to assemble your life yourself, action by action.
That's Marcus Aurelius, a philosopher and also a Roman emperor from way back in the day. Thank you very much for keeping it here on the newspaper review section, coming to you from KUTV Rise today's Biashara Tuesday. I was accompanied by Grace Osinde. She is an FAC ambassador in Kenya, founder Street Uproot Kenya, that is taking care of street children who are between the ages of 16 to 20.
Can I say something?
Or that isn't the correct
yeah,
age.
sorry, I forgot about AFEC. AFEC is Africa Future Empowerment Conference. It's based in the UK, but it's all about Pan-Africanism in Africa. We want people to remain in Africa. Let's make Africa better. We don't have to leave and go abroad to make our lives better, yeah? So we have a conference in October for all African youths. It will be at KICC. I hope I'll see you all there. Yeah.
Right. We'll come back when it's just about that time.
Okay.
And then we talk about it on the show. And then I also get my invite.
Okay.
Live and die in Africa. I think that's
Live
the
and die.
last message
Africa,
you give
my
us.
home.
Right.
Africa, my future.
Short break. KUTV Kenya. Richard _Okenye. I will be right back.